Hey girl, hey girl, hey girl, hey, it is your girl Tiara of Reflected Glory by Tiara, and today is a little different. My video is going to just be talking about personal experience that I've had to go through, a little bit about my life, and I just felt like with the recent passing of my sister Brianna, I just wanted to talk about a little bit of her journey, and I'm pretty sure there's a lot of you who have dealt with the same issue that or issues that I have and that she has. And so just out of respect for her life and just out of, you know, respect for so many people's lives who have had to endure this type of you know, pain and trouble, I just felt like it was important to talk about mental health and talk about how it affects, you know, other people in the family and your friends and loved ones. So without further ado, let's get into the video. So I wanted to title this video Lessons from My Baby Sister, and I decided to go with that title because I am the oldest in my family, and because I'm the oldest, you know, a lot of times you can feel like you're the one that knows, you know, more than your younger siblings, and that's not always the case. You know, I think that, you know, we have people in our family for a reason, and we all can learn from each other. And I pretty much had to help raise my sister and my brother because I was the oldest and because my mom was a single parent. And so for pretty much all my childhood, I've been helping to raise, you know, my siblings. My sister was diagnosed with schizophrenia and bipolar disorder. She was diagnosed with that like 2 years ago, and it was devastating. Like, it was devastating. She's 26 years old, and you know, just getting that phone call and having to show up to her job, and just the condition that she was in that psychotic, you know, condition, that psychotic state. You know, it was nothing like I had ever seen my sister in like that state before. And so it was like it just came out of the blue, you know. And I have had family members in my family who have had, you know, mental illness. But I just never had to deal with it on that level at such a close to home situation, you know. I'm very protective over my sister. Almost to a fault. And in general, like, I'm protective over all of them, you know, but she was the closest to me, and she depended on a lot upon me because I had the finances, I had, you know, the stability, I had all of those things that a person needs to live like a, you know, to have like a stable place from which they can try to build upon. And so she depended on me a lot. You know, she lived with me when she was in college. Once she graduated, we threw some big, you know, celebration for her. And then, you know, she stayed with me a little longer, and then she got her own apartment. When she got her own apartment, she lived there for about a year. And after that year, you know, COVID happened, and it was like I was, you know, it was new for everybody, you know, and nobody knew what COVID was. Like, you know, me working in the hospital, we didn't know what it was. We just knew that we needed to, you know, protect our, you know, our lungs, you know, wear a mask, and N95 mask with a simple mask, and cover yourself, and, you know, do all those things. But we didn't know like what was going on. And my sister, you know, she did express that she was kind of like worried, you know. And my sister lived alone. You know, she had just gotten her first teaching job. She had just like, she started her life, you know, and she was living what she wanted to do. She loves kids, you know, and she was actually doing what she loved to do. And then COVID happened, and it was like she was kind of like in her own world, you know. And when I got that phone call, you know, of course I was devastated. Like, I never imagined that that would happen. So we moved her into my house. She came in and lived with me. And that was a lot in itself, because it was unexpected. And I had to try to schedule, you know, thank God I had a stretch of days off, because like I had to hurry up and get her moved into my house. And then we had to get her with the right doctors. We had to get her on the right medication. And it was just like, it was a lot of stress on me. It was a lot of stress on me, so much so, and excuse me if you hear my air conditioning, but it was so much stress on me to where I really felt like I was about to lose it too. Like, I really did. And my father had to come in and move in with me just so that I could, you know, feel like I had somebody else to depend on while I was going through this situation with my sister. My mother was there, but she was only there to the capacity that she could be, you know. But I was the one that, you know, had to see my sister every single day, every moment, you know, that I wasn't working. At some point, my sister did discuss with me the fact that she felt that she didn't want to be on her medications anymore. And she was really trying to figure out, you know, was this the right diagnosis? Because, you know, that was her first time having that psychotic, you know, period and moment. So we weren't sure if it was a psychotic break where, you know, you can just have a break and then you can, you know, get help that you need and then be okay again. Or if this was like a permanent thing. And because she was a woman of color, she didn't know if she was misdiagnosed as well. And so she came to me and she told me that she wanted to see, you know, how her life would be if she decreased her dosage. And she was contemplating, you know, eventually coming off of her meds. And of course, you know, like, I was like against it, because I was like, I don't want you to go through the same thing that you went through last time, you know. But talking to my therapist, you know, it was explained to me that when a person comes off their meds, you're not going to see them go right into a psychotic episode, but that it will be gradual and you will see the signs. But my sister, I think she was hiding her signs and her symptoms. I would ask her, like, how are you doing? Are you hearing anything? She told me no. And she may have been telling the truth at first. Maybe the meds were still in her system. But it was just like, in hindsight, you know, I feel like she knew she was having those symptoms, but she didn't want people to tell her that she should get back on the meds, and she didn't want to be monitored all the time. She didn't want all of that, you know. And I know just from being a big sister that you can try to tell your siblings what to do or try to guide them in a way, but because you're the older person, you're more like a parental person to them, and they don't want to hear that. You know, they want to live their own life. And so I felt that was the same thing with her, you know. Like, my family, my father was here, my stepmother had moved in, and then there was me. And so I said, you know what, I know if I don't try to do this as a team, she's going to come off her meds on her own. Like, there's no stopping her, you know. And so we decided that we would make sure that if she had any symptoms, that she would, you know, express those things to me, but she never did. And it was like, my sister kept a lot of things inside. She was not the type of person to just tell you how she felt. She would write a lot. She would journal a lot. She would get on her computer. She would type a lot of things up, but she did not really express herself. And that was something that, you know, I had a hard time you know, dealing with, because it's like, I want you to let me in, but you won't let me in. You know, like, I've done all these things for you and I've been there for you, but you don't trust me still, you know? And I think she trusted me. It was just that maybe she felt like I was just going to stop her from trying to live her life. So the way she wanted to, you know, without the meds and stuff. So she eventually, her doctors did decrease her dosages, and, you know, she was going to therapy, but apparently she stopped. And there was a whole lot of things that transpired within that time. But needless to say, my sister left to go visit a family member and she never came back. And recently we were told that she was found, you know, and she's no longer with us. It was not suicide, that I'm aware of. It was not. But I just wanted to come on here and tell y'all that as much as I did for my sister, as much as I tried to help my sister, as much as I tried to protect my sister, it still wasn't enough. Like, it wasn't. And there's nobody that can tell me that I didn't do my best, especially considering the fact that I've never had to deal with this before. And I did everything I could, you know, I did everything I could for my sister. If you're dealing with something similar, just know that there's only so much you can do. And I'm going to refer to my notes because, you know, there's going to be times where I'm talking, but in the same time, my mind is like still processing. My sister had been missing for like 2 months and we didn't know where she was. And so I'm still processing. I'm still going through some things right now. I'm still trying to make sense of things. And as I've expressed before, I am a Christian, so I do have those thoughts and those questions for the Lord. But, you know, I know with time, God will reveal things to me. And I know that nothing that I've gone through is for nothing. You know, I know that there's always beauty for ashes. I know that there's always the fruit from, you know, when something does die, you know, something grows in its place. And so I know that, you know, it happened for a reason. From the time that my sister was diagnosed to the time of her death, it was 2 years. It was a very short amount of time, you know. The thing that gets to me the most is the fact that there was a lot of things that she wanted to do. She wanted to be married. She wanted to have her own kids. She wanted to have a dog. She wanted to travel. She loved LA, even though she never has gone to LA. She wanted to be an actress. She loved children. She was a teacher. But I also know that there was a lot of stuff that she kept inside that I cannot, it's out of my control. So, like I said, I'm going to defer to my notes. Some of the lessons that I learned from my sister, and I'm going to not just say from her, but just from both of my sisters, it's to never discount somebody's feelings based on their age. One time, me and my sister Brianna, we had got, you know, we were talking about something and we didn't agree, you know, and, you know, we were talking about, you know, our parents or something like that. And she said, you just don't get it. Like, you just don't get it. And, you know, I just shrugged it off like, you know, what do you mean? Like, I grew up in the same, you know, in the same household, but there was things that my sister experienced that I never experienced, you know. And even with my other sister, we have different mothers, but like, there's things in her life that she experienced that I have never experienced. I have not had those experiences. And so a lot of it is ignorance, you know, like if a person is like, they may not tell you the details of why they feel the way that they feel, but it's the fact that, you know, their experience is very much real. So never discount just because somebody is, you know, not, you know, as old as you are, you feel like you may be more mature, does not mean that, that is the case. Like, it doesn't mean that they didn't go through, you know, what they went through. Another thing that I learned from my sister Brianna was, when somebody is in need for your help, don't let anything stand in the way of helping them. Like, do everything that you can to help that person, so that if something does happen to that person, you can live with yourself knowing that you did everything you possibly could. And even for those people who feel like they could have done more, it's okay. It's all right. But I know I did everything that I could possibly do for my sister. From the time that I got the phone call, to trying to figure out what meds that she should be on, to, you know, finding her doctors for, selling what I had, selling what she had so that she could pay her car note so she wouldn't be late. You know, it's so many things that I tried to do. I tried to be a good mentor towards my sister. I tried to listen to her, but all of it, God is God. You know what I'm saying? Like, He's the only one who really and truly can do the impossible for people. But I also understand that in our pain and in our sacrifices and in our struggles, that's where we get our learning from, So God uses everything. And yes, He could have healed my sister. He could have healed her. He could have written her story to where she decided to stay on her meds, or, He could have done it to where she ended up getting the help that she needed and decided that she was going to live on the meds and, do everything she could to stay on the meds. But that was not my sister's story. And it may not be your family member's story either. Everybody has a different story. But I feel like from the time that she got diagnosed to now, like, it was so fast, to the point where it's almost like He was just trying to teach the people around her something. Like, He wanted them to get something. But I say that to say, if you know somebody is struggling, or you know somebody needs help, you need to help them. Like, give everything that you have, but make sure that you don't allow your peace to always be drained. Make sure you keep your peace at all costs. But if there's something that you can do to keep your peace, but to still help them, then help them. So that was lesson number 2. Lesson number 3, I will say to just accept people for who they are and where they are on their journey, even if you don't understand it or agree with it. For me, I feel like forgiveness is a really big thing to a lot of people. There are a lot of people out here who are struggling to forgive their loved ones. They are struggling to forgive their friends. They've gone through some really, really hard things in their lives, and it's really hard for them to forgive. And God tells us that we have to forgive in order to be forgiven. And if you know somebody is struggling with forgiveness or unforgiveness, still be there with them, because you don't know the level of pain and hurt that that person has gone through. And not only that, but just because you may feel you know the answers to it, like, oh, well, you're just going to have to do this and do that. Don't say that to them. Don't do that to them. I'm not going to say that I ever did that, but I will say that, the desire to forgive, God honors, So you may know that the person wants to forgive, they just have a hard time forgiving. Just be there with them. Acknowledge their pain. Acknowledge their hurt. Acknowledge the fact that they had to endure what they endured, And if somebody says that you hurt them, don't give any excuses as to why you did what you did. Just say, I'm sorry that I did that. And I'm sorry that you had to endure that. I'm sorry that, that I did that to you because I hurt you really badly, or whatever the case is. Acknowledge that pain and don't make an excuse for it. Because when you acknowledge the pain, it's almost like you're taking responsibility. You are taking responsibility for what you've done to that person, how you know, um, what you've done to that person. And it's acknowledging, it's giving them the justice that they need. It may not be the justice that they want, but the fact that you said it, that you took ownership of it, that's what they want, and that's what they need. That's what they need to hear. Another thing that I've learned from my sister is, you know, I think as an older child, you know, I've always felt protective over my siblings, and therefore, you know, I would try to steer them away from certain things, or, you know, try to like give them advice even when they didn't ask for it. And I feel like sometimes that can backfire because not everybody wants you to help them. You know, even if they know they might be doing something that may not be right, even if they know, like, you know, this is probably not a good idea, they don't want you to tell them not to do it. Because believe me, if they're going to do it, they're going to do it, you know. I do think that you should encourage people to do the right thing, or you should encourage people to always be safe. But you have to pick and choose when to say what you say. And I think for me, because I was sort of like a mother figure for my sister, even though I was her sister, you know, sometimes my advice, you know, she didn't want to hear it, you know. So I just kind of feel like there's, you know, you just have to stay in your lane, and you have to know like when to just let go. And I recognized that with my sister when she said that she wanted to come off her meds. You know, I feel like we tried our best to support her decision and just make sure that, you know, she did know, like, know to tell us if she started to feel any different or if she started to revert back, you know. But, you know, then again, it's like she wanted to be free. She wanted to live her life on her terms. So always protect when you need to protect, but recognize when your protection is fighting against you. Number 5, you cannot live someone's life for them. They must make their own decisions. You know, there's some people who come from families where they have everything. I've heard people tell me like, I've heard people say, you know what? I had the perfect family. Like, we went to church. I never was molested. I was never abused. But I chose to run away. I chose to do these things. I chose to be out on the streets. I chose to do drugs. There was no reason for me not to, there was every reason for me not to do it. I had everything that I needed, but they still choose to do what they want to do because they chose to live life on their own terms. And they know that, you know, whatever they chose to do may not have been the right thing to do, but you cannot live somebody's life for them. All you can do is support the person. That's all you can do. And number 6, you are not God. You cannot prevent everything bad from happening, but you need to be in relationship with Him for troublesome times. I'm not out here trying to be preachy, but you know, God is a huge part of my channel. For any of you who have been watching my channel, like, you may see me, you may think, oh, this is just another person, another girl on YouTube talking or whatever, but God is a huge part of my life. And He's gotten me through so many situations, so many hardships out here. Y'all may not ever hear me speak on them. Actually, it's like, the fact that I'm even on here talking about my sister right now is a lot because it's personal. You know what I mean? And I only share my personal life with people who I love and I care about and people who are close to me. But, you know, I felt like this was something that needed to be said. I felt like I have to explain, like, from my viewpoint, from my perspective as the older sister, what happened with my sister. You cannot live this life by yourself. Like, I've heard people say, I don't trust nobody. I don't trust nobody. You're gonna have to find somebody to trust today. You know what I'm saying? Because even if you do have a relationship with God and you don't trust people, you need people to get through this life. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You may get hurt in the process, but you're going to have to trust people, and you definitely going to have to trust God, because he's the only one who can change things for you. He's the only one who can fix things. He's the only one who can build you up with his supernatural strength. I cannot tell you how I am recording this video right now and no tears are coming out of my eyes, because I've been crying for the last few days. Like, just thinking about my sister, thinking about the things that she wanted to do but she didn't get to do while she was here. You know, like, this is nothing but the Lord's strength that is really holding me up to even talk to y'all right now. But yeah, make sure that you have a relationship with God, because with Jesus, I'm going to say Jesus, because he's the only one who can get you through those tough times, you know, and he's the only reason why I can even know that my relationship with God is the only reason why I can have peace when my sister didn't have peace, you know, when my sister is no longer here. He's the only reason why. And a huge part of that too is because my sister believed in God. She believed in Jesus. She loved God. She loved him so much. Even in her psychotic period, she was still speaking about God. You know, she really believed God. She believed in God with her whole heart. And that's what gives me peace, because I know that my sister is with him. And I know that she's no longer struggling. She's no longer suffering, you know, with any type of mental anything. Like, that's beyond her. That's past her. Like, she is living a full life right now. So I just wanted to put this out here. I don't know who it's going to help. I don't know if it's going to help anybody. But, you know, there's a lot of people that are struggling out here with mental illness. You know, even something like depression, which a lot of people suffer with. People make light of it, but it's not light. You know, Chesley Christ, she passed away from it. Y'all saw the way that she passed away from it. It's real out here. Take care of yourselves. Take care of your friends. Be there. Listen. Don't discount what they say. Don't take it lightly. Love people. God put us out here to be ambassadors for his kingdom. So do your work. If you are a Christian and you're not doing anything, you're not serving in your communities, you're not serving in your church, think about it. Because we all have a purpose here. We all supposed to be doing our part. So I hope that y'all are blessed from this video. And I'll probably have some pictures, you know, like showing my sister who she was, her vision board, all of that stuff. But y'all be blessed. You know, for the fathers out there who have kids, make sure that you are taking care of your children. For the mothers out there who have children, make sure that you love and take care of your children. Make sure that you protect them. Make sure that you love them so much, and that they feel loved and that they know they're loved. And with that, y'all have a blessed day. I'll see you in the next video.